Tina. Hi, Vina. Hi,
Hi.
Anne.
Hello.
Hi, Lightness.
Hello.
Oh, I know everybody. It's lovely. Okay. So I'm just going to check Facebook and see if it's streaming there. Yes, it is. I'm just going to share that live stream to my own page as well. Or to my feed, I think it's probably better. I mean,
Hi, Jackie. Fit like?
Hi, Anne. I'm fine. Yourself?
Dealawa.
Have you had your operation yet, Anne?
I have, yes. I have got 31 staples removed yesterday. Yes, Nicholas, I had a full knee replacement.
well, congratulations, Anne.
Yes,
Welcome,
totally.
everybody. Welcome to Storytelling for Peace. Welcome to the World Storytelling Cafe. It's the 24th of December, 2024. There has never, ever been a time when the world is crying out for peace more than it is at this moment. And I'm going to go straight into introducing our first storyteller of the event. And then we'll take it from there. We'll explain what's happening after that. So Nicholas Pavlovsky over in the States, please take it away, Nicholas. I think you're going to tell us a story that you learned from Hala Munter Salem. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. This is a story Hala taught us, which I love. There were two fishermen, and one of the fishermen went out into the sea, and he fished, and he got a big fish. He rowed back, and he took the fish out of his boat and put it in his basket so that he could take it home to his wife and his family. The other fisherman looked at him and said, "Where are you going?" And he said, "I'm going home to my family and my wife." He said, "Oh, well, you should go back out into the sea and get more fish." "Why should I do that?" asked the fisherman. "Well, if you go out, you get more fish, you'll be able to bring them to the market. And then, after a long time of bringing fish to the market, you'll be rich." "What should I do when I become rich?" said the fisherman. "Well, when you're rich, you'll have time to enjoy being with your wife and your family." But the fisherman said, "That's where I'm going right now." And Hala told us that the moral of this story is to live today as the last day. Thank you, Hala.
Thank you so much, Nicholas, for starting off our Storytelling for Peace event. There are three of us hosting today. Me, Manuela Kelly Calzini, and Simona Stambazzi. Both of you are in Italy, I believe. And some of you have joined us and have told us that you're going to retell stories you've learnt from Hala Muntasalen. This is Hala here. And if you look at the video, if you're watching this as a recording, you can even pause the video now and see this QR code because this takes you to the fundraising link for Hala. Hala has told so many beautiful stories at the World Storytelling Cafe. We'll put the link to the fundraiser in the chat in just a moment. Some of you have been contacting us, telling us you'd like to tell a story. Some of you have asked to go early on. Please, in the chat, just write down to say yes if you would like to tell a story. But there's so many people who are asking to tell stories that we're going to make a request. Please tell stories that are short. 2 minutes is wonderful. 3 minutes is wonderful. 4 minutes is fine. 5 minutes, let's go for that as a maximum, because so many people have said, can I tell a story for peace at this event? Ruth Kirkpatrick, will you tell us the next story?
Hi, David. Hi, everyone. Lovely to join you tonight. Yeah, I'd be happy to tell you a very, very brief version of a story that I got from the great Duncan Williamson. And this story is about the old collie dog who got thrown out of the farm because he was so old and stiff and he was too slow for the sheep. So the farmer kicked him out. And now the collie dog was having to make his own way in the world. But whenever he was hungry or thirsty, there was one person he could always rely on. And that was the kind old woman in the village. So Collie went down to her house one night and he hoped there'd be a little saucer of milk or a bone on the doorstep. But when he looked at the front door, all was quiet. He looked up at the window and there were no candles on. He looked up at her chimney and there was no smoke coming out. So he walked to the end of the village and every other house he saw was full of light and laughter, people with their friends and their families. And when he got to the end of the village, he saw the peacock at the big house. And he said, "Peacock, what is going on tonight that everyone has candles lit and there's all this food and happiness?" And the peacock said, "Don't you know, collie dog, it's Christmas Eve." And that's what people do here on Christmas Eve. They get together and they share. So the collie dog said, "Well then, I'm very worried about the old woman because she had no lights on and I'm worried she's all alone." "Well, we'll soon sort that," said the peacock. And he grabbed 2 peat from the big hoose's peat pile under his wing. And the collie ran down the street to the butcher's shop. And he knew the way to go down the wee vennel at the side of the shop, in the back window, and out he came with a string of sausages. And then off they walked down the main street. And it wasn't long before they met the cat. And she said, "Where are you going?" And they said, "We're worried about the old woman. Join us." So the cat said, "Well, I will, and I'll run in past the fishmonger and get a couple of kippers for her supper." And then further down the street, they came to the owl. And the owl said, "Oh, I haven't seen the old woman for a while." And the collie dog said, "That's just where we're going. Come with us." So they went and they knocked on the door of the old woman's house. And it was a long time till she answered. But when she did, she said, "Ah, my friends, you've come to see me, but I have no food and I have no fuel for the fire." But the animals rushed in past her and they began to build the fire with the peat with the help of the old woman. She went and cooked the sausages. And when she came back through, the fire was blazing, the collie was on the rug, and the peacock had opened up her beautiful feather tail. And the cat's eyes and the owl's eyes were illuminated by the fire and they looked like beautiful Christmas baubles. And the old woman said, "Oh, that is the most beautiful Christmas decoration I have ever seen." And it's made even more special because it's come from my friends. And so the happy crew sat down that night and they told stories and they sang songs and they ate the feast. And that is how they spent a peaceful Christmas Eve together.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you so much for that beautiful story told by Duncan Williamson, great Scottish storyteller, and you've passed it on. Now, this event, as I mentioned, is fundraising for Hala Muntersalem's family, but it's not just about that. It's about peace in the world. But the reason it's a fundraiser for Hala, part of the reason is here at the World Storytelling Cafe between 2020 and 2023, Hala, even actually 2024, this year, Hala and sometimes her sister Shatha came and shared beautiful stories, powerful stories, more than any other of the young international storytellers from Palestine. And one person who got to know Hala really well is Manuela Kelly Calcini. So I'm just going to pass over to Manuela to give you a bit of context.
Thank you, David. I'd like to speak to Hala directly, as she may be in this room, Hala, wherever you are, in this room, on Facebook, or maybe listening later on YouTube. We hope you can feel this moment we're sharing. Hala, I remember the first time I connected with your family, the day I met your mother, sitting gracefully next to you, trying to understand what we were doing. And then I met your sister, Shatha, and your grandmother through you. Your grandmother's embroidered masterpieces took my breath away. Each stitch seemed to hold centuries of tradition and love. And your sisters and brothers, you all patiently taught me to do something. And when you were in Rafah in 2023, you also tried to teach me Palestinian dishes, laughing with me as I fumbled and failed miserably, though I did try my best. Those moments were filled with so much life, warmth and connection, a bridge built by stories, food and love. I know you can't talk right now. Malnutrition and harsh cold of winter have stolen your strength, leaving you frail and exhausted. But even in this silence, your courage speaks louder than words. We're here, Hala, in this room, sending you all the warmth we can muster, our hearts, our hands, our stories. We hope that what we're doing today will help in some small way to restore your strength, so you can keep doing what you do best, nurturing your family, uplifting others, and sharing your stories with the world. I think back to 2020, when this all began. It was David who asked me, after I had just finished a CREST course. And David asked me, would you like to tell us stories with a young girl from Gaza? David at the time was running a program, Tell Me a Tale. And that's when you came into my life. At first, we connected through screens, but soon those storytelling sessions turned into something much deeper. You weren't just telling stories, you were living them. I never forget the first time you told the story of Florence Nightingale at the World Storytelling Cafe. We choose that story together because I was living in Florence and you you want to become a doctor. You brought Florence Nightingale to life with such grace, such presence. And then, as if that wasn't enough, you started weaving your own stories from Palestine, tales that blended tradition and modern life, filled with resilience and hope, and which we are hearing again this evening. And then there were the Sundays. How could we forget those? I loved those moments spent with you, Chiara, my niece, and Shada dreaming of becoming a doctor, and you studying for your chemistry exams with unstoppable determination. Your home, even through a screen, felt alive, filled with dreams and the laughter of sisters. But then came October the 7th, and everything changed. Your messages documenting the journey from Gaza to Rafah, shelter to shelter, broke my heart. Through your words, I saw the pain, the loss, the strength. You told me about the tragedy that befell your family, the unspeakable hardships your grandmother endured. And yet you still held tight onto your dreams. Even now, as the world grows colder and resources scarcer, you continue studying for your exams in February, while Shada works towards her medical degree with a scholarship she fought so hard to secure. Your strength, Hala, and that of your sister is a light in the darkest of times. You've shown me what it means to hope, not as a passive emotion, but as an active choice. And today, we're here, inspired by you, doing what we can. We may not be able to help everyone, but we can help someone. And if everyone helps someone, we can create ripples of change. Hala, your story is one of countless others in Gaza, but your courage has touched us deeply. And through our small acts of kindness, we hope to nurture not only your survival, but also your dreams, because we believe in you and in the bridges of stories that connect us all. One family, one story, one dream at a time. We're with you, Hala, always. Thank you.
Yes, we're with you, Hala. Thank you, Manuela. Right, as I mentioned right at the beginning, and a few more people have entered the room since, this is a storytelling for peace. The link to Hala's fundraiser is in the chat. This is a still image of Hala and her sister Shafa telling a story. And we'll have a couple of stories that Shafa told as well during this event. This photo was taken in March of 2024 when you both came to the World Storytelling Cafe and shared beautiful stories of peace. Our next storyteller is a friend of the World Storytelling Cafe, wonderful storyteller, Bob Canagis. Bob, are you ready to tell us a story?
I am. It's hello, everybody. It's really wonderful to be in such company. So thank you all. I have a stone from our garden in my hand. There's stones all around us. We can find them in our garden, like I did. We can find them by the side of the road. We can find them at the roots of trees. We can find them in riverbeds. Well, what can you do with a stone? You can build a wall. You can chip it and make a weapon. You can throw it through a window. You can toss it at somebody's head. But what would we do with a stone? You could take the stone and you could rub it and rub it and grind it for a long time until you turned it into a pile of dust. And then you could look for a seed. Maybe you would find an apple seed. And you take that apple seed and you plant it in that pile of dust. And you water it. And maybe that seed would sprout, but it would soon just wilt and die. And so you would plant another seed, and that one would sprout and probably die also. And you would keep planting seeds, and they would come up, and they would die, and they would come up, and they would die. But after a while, there would begin to be all that organic matter from all those sprouts that had just come up for a short period of time. And you would mix that organic matter from all those failed plants in with the dust from that stone. And you'd plant another seed. And perhaps that seed would sprout and it would begin to grow. And maybe it would even become a small sapling. And perhaps even that sapling would die. But it would turn to compost, and you would mix it again in with that dust. And eventually, you would have a sapling that would grow, that would bloom. The small green apples would come. The summer would pass. That apple would ripen and sweeten. And you would pick it from its branch. You might show it or offer it to a friend, and they'd say, "Where did this apple come from?" And you'd say, "This apple came from a branch from a tree that was grown in the soil that came from a stone." That's the parable of stones into fruit that my father's first cousin, Leon Canadius, wrote 50 or 60 years ago. He was a man of peace who walked this talk. We all can turn stones into fruit. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bob, for sharing this story with us. It was wonderful. And I'll move on to our next teller. Veena Hassan from India is here with us. And I think, Veena, that you're going to share with us a story that you learned from Shahra, Hala's sister. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. Peace begins with a smile, a quote from Mother Teresa, a heartfelt words, few words for the children of Gaza. You are brave and strong. Your stories matter as they inspire hope and courage to others. Your lives matter and your voices matter. Please live your dreams, and I'm sure the world is looking at you. Everybody will help you. Today, I'd love to retell a story which I learned from Shada, Hala's sister, and she had told the story of the shepherd and his sheep, also known as the boy who cried wolf. Once upon a time, in a village, there was a shepherd who used to look over his flock of sheep at night. The people of that village were known for the beautiful qualities of being very honest and generous and very helpful to everybody, even to strangers. But this boy, the shepherd, did not have these qualities at all. And every night when he used to look after the flock of sheep, he was very bored. So one day he thought, why not have some fun? And he started shouting at the top of his voice, "Help, help, wolf, wolf, help everybody, help." Come and help me. Somebody's attacking my wolf. Please come. The villagers were sleeping. Suddenly they woke up from the sleep and they thought, what's happening? And they just rushed with sticks and whatever they had in their hands and rushed to the spot. As soon as they reached the shepherd boy held his belly and started laughing. I tricked all of you. I tricked all of you. Aren't you all stupid? And you fell for it? The villagers were surprised. We came all the way to help you, and you deceive us by laughing at us? This is not funny at all. Lying is not funny at all. Please never do this at all. And the boy he did not care at all. He started laughing, and the villagers soon left. Now, this thing repeated, and it happened again and again, not twice, but thrice. Now, this time, every time the villagers went, they saw the boy used to laugh, and he thought deceiving people was something very entertaining. He thought, this is a boring life. I'm looking after my flock of sheep. Why not have some fun with the villagers? But now the villagers became a little clever, and they thought this time, no matter however he shouts, we are not going. So this time, it so happened, one night, actually the wolf came, and the boy shouting at the top of his voice, "Wolf, wolf, help, help people, help me, help." The villagers woke up and heard it, and they thought, it must be the same thing is going to lie again. So they all slept. And actually what happened? The boy couldn't save a single of the sheep from his flock. And the wolf, ate everybody. Next morning, when the villagers came to the spot, they were amazed to see that actually a wolf had come. And they felt so sad for the sheep. And they told the boy, "Have you seen what has happened? Because you lied to us, we do not believe you at all." And actually a wolf came, but we never ever thought that this would happen. We are feeling so sad. Please try to learn. I think this is a lesson you have to learn. The boy was crying uncontrollably, and he learned a lesson that deceiving people is not good at all. It's not a good thing. So from that, he learned that he should never cheat people and deceive them. This lesson highlights the importance of honesty and integrity in our relationship with others. Thank you very much. And Shata, thank you for telling this wonderful story where we learn these life lessons, and to all the children of Gaza. Thank you for your wonderful stories. They encourage us to retell more stories.
Thank you so much, Veena. Thank you for telling one of the wonderful stories that Shatha told. Our next storyteller is Shraddha. Shraddha also comes from India, but Shraddha's on a visit to Japan right at the moment. And I just want to let people know that I'm doing a project together with Haneen Khaled Jadala, who's also in the room, called Tell a Child in Gaza's Tale. These are some of the children who have told stories at the World Storytelling Cafe over the last few years. Hala being one of them, Hala and Shatha being two of them. And Shraddha is doing a fantastic job at the moment. Shraddha is supporting the project by editing recordings that were made at the World Storytelling Cafe, picking out the individual stories so we're able to share them individually on social media, YouTube. It's very much valued work, Shraddha. Shraddha, thank you for telling a story. Please go ahead. It must be
Thank
very
you,
late
David.
at night in Japan.
It is really early morning on Christmas Day here right now. But thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to tell a story, and thank you for that lovely introduction. It is a privilege to help you all out, to bring the stories. A short story I have for you is called The Two Wolves. One evening, a grandfather and his daughter were walking along the beach, and the child was running into the waves and running out of the waves, just enjoying herself, having a wonderful time, until the sun started to set. And as the sun started to set, the little girl felt a little afraid. So she ran back to her grandfather and she slipped her hand into his and sidled up close to him and said, Abba, grandfather, I'm feeling afraid. It's getting dark. And her grandfather tried to make her feel better, held her hand tight and said, it's okay, my child, it's okay. But grandfather, I'm feeling so scared. What can I do? And that's when the grandfather told her the story of the two wolves. He said, child, there are always two wolves in our heart. One is named fear, and the other one is named courage. But Grandpa, always in everyone's heart, are there these two wolves? Yes, my child, always in every person's heart. These two wolves exist. But Grandpa, I'm so scared. Which wolf will win? Which wolf will win in me? And her grandpa told her, child, the wolf that you feed the most will always win. Thank you.
Simona, would you like to do the next introduction?
Sure, yes. So, Anne Peter, would you like to tell us a story? I know you're busy drawing.
I'm busy drawing, you're right. How did you guess? Well, I'm going to, like Ruth, tell you the great Scottish traveller Duncan Moinson, one of his stories. There was once a little robin. There you go. I don't know if you have robins in your country, but they sing so sweetly. Oh, they sing beautifully. But a cat pounced on the little bird and broke its wing. But the little robin managed to get away. And there was a forest nearby, so it went into the forest. And it was winter time, and it was so cold. And in those days, the trees all had their leaves. And the little robin came up to a great big oak tree. There it was with its great trunk and its leaves, its massive leaves. And the little bird said, please, oak tree, will you give me some shelter just till my broken wing is healed? And the oak tree looked down on the little bird and said, oh no, I can't possibly have a little twittering thing fluttering about in my branches. No, go away. The little robin went off to another tree, a little bit deeper in the forest. Oh, and there was a fine, beautiful birch tree with its silvery bark, so elegant, so beautiful. And the little robin said, please, could you give me some shelter in your beautiful leaves, please? Just till my wing gets better. And the beech tree, the silver birch tree, looked down and said, no, no, you scruffy little robin, you are so, look at you, you're monkey. Oh, go away, just go away. And the little robin dragged its little sore wing over. And there it came to a much lower tree. It was a sycamore tree, and it has big leaves, which would be very cozy for the little robin to shelter in. And the robin looked up and said to the sycamore tree, would you give me some shelter in your leaves just till my wing heals? Nah, said the second one. Nah. No having a wee scruff like you around my patches and my No. Stop it. The robin went a bit deeper and thought there was nowhere that the little robin could get some shelter. Oh. And then she heard a voice saying, I'll give you shelter. And there was a fine fir tree with its thick green leaves. They were like little needles. And it was beautiful. It looked so cozy. And the fir tree said, of course you can shelter in my leaves. Look, you can snuggle in till your little wing is healed. And right next to the fir tree was a shorter tree. It was a holly tree. Now, it was rather fine. It had dark green, spiky leaves, and it had lovely red berries, the colour of the little robin's breast, in fact. Juicy and tasty. And the holly tree said, well, you can shelter in the fir tree, and when you need to, you can eat my berries. Won't that be perfect? Now, unknown to all the trees in the forest, a little fairy, a woodland fairy, had been listening. And she decided that those trees who offered some help to the poor little robin, they would not lose their leaves nor their berries when winter came. But as for all the rest, well, you've guessed it, I think, haven't you? I think Shadra has. She looks like she has. They lost their leaves and do so to this day. And that shows how love and kindness can make a world of difference.
Thank you, Anne, for that story. You're absolutely right. So love and kindness and peace. So I'll go to our next storyteller, and Lamia Tamimi is joining us from Hebron, Palestine. Lamia, would you like to tell us a story?
Yes, sure. Hi, everyone. It's nice to see my great friends, David, Manuela, Haneen, and Simona, of course. I'm going to tell you a story about the forbidden apple. It's a story that my mom told me when I was very young. كان يا مكان في قديم الزمان. Once upon a time, there was a young traveler. He used to travel a lot to seek for wisdom and knowledge. And one day, he got lost. So he walked and walked and walked to find some food and water to drink. He was very hungry and thirsty. And then he found a river. And so he drank some water. Suddenly he saw a very juicy red apple. It looks very delicious. So he grabbed it and he ate it. And he was very grateful that he's not hungry anymore. But then the angel in his ear told him, you ate something that doesn't belong to you. That's not fair. And the devil in his left ear said, shh, you were very hungry. It's okay to eat it. It was in the river. It doesn't own to anyone. So he listened to his angel and said, I'm going to find this apple, the owner of this apple. It's not right to eat something that's not yours. So he walked through the river in order to find the orchard of apple trees. So he walked and walked and walked till he found a beautiful orchard full of beautiful, delicious, tasty, juicy red apples. And suddenly he saw the owner, a very old man. Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry to say I ate your apple. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. The old man thought a little, then he said, I will forgive you, but in one condition. I really like your honesty, but I will forgive you if you married my daughter. But sir, I don't know your daughter. I don't know anything about her. Okay, I will tell you about her. She is blind, she is deaf, she is mute, and she can't walk. Oh my God. So the angel told him, you have to marry her. You have to pay for your debt. And the devil in his left ear tell him, run out of your life, run away when we can. But then he thought and said, yes, I made a mistake. I should pay off my debt, and in order that the owner will forgive me. So after a week, on the day of the marriage, he saw the most beautiful young woman in the whole world. And he was very shocked. But your dad said, you are deaf, you are blind, and you are mute, and you can't walk. She smiled and said, I am blind because I can't see evil in the people. And I am deaf because I can't hear lies or gossips. And I am mute because I don't talk bad of people. And I can't walk because I only walk in my principles. So they have lived happily ever after. And if you want one day to live in a village full of honesty, without lies and peace, come visit these couples and you will have a great time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Lamia. Thank you.
You're
Thank you, Lamia. It's great to see you here. I love that story. I believe, David, now it's Mechthild from Germany, our next storyteller, which I have the pleasure of introducing you to you all. And Mechthild, it's over to you. She's going to tell one of my favorite stories for hope and peace. Over to you, Mechthild.
Thank you, Manuela, and thanks also for choosing that story. It's the story of the four candles, and I heard this story multiple times from Jana, from Hebron, and from my friends and mentors, David and Manuela, so it's very dear to me. So once upon a time, there was a dark winter evening, and four candles were burning. And it was so quiet that you could hear them whispering. So the first candle spoke and she said, well, I'm peace, but I can find peace no longer here in this world. So there's just hate and war, and there's no need for burning any longer. And so she simply faded away. And then there was the next candle, the second one, said, okay, I'm faith. And it's the same for me. Nobody believes any longer. People are lying, betraying. So what's the point of burning? I can simply fade away. And out she went too. The third candle said, I'm love, but where do you see love any longer? I can't see it. I can't feel it. So no, there's no point. I'll follow you. I'll just fade out. And suddenly a little child entered the room and she was shocked. And she said, no, you cannot just stop burning. I need you. The room is getting darker and colder. You can't do that to me. And then the fourth candle spoke up. And it said, well, little child, you don't have to cry, because I'm burning and I will keep burning. And if you just get a little stick you can take my flame and relit all the others. And the child did as it was told. And it relit the first candle, faith, and the second, peace. And also love. And so all the 4 candles were burning again. And the 4th candle said, so, little child, I'm hope. And as long as you have hope, there'll always be peace, faith, and love in this world. So that's what I wish to all of you, especially to our friends in Palestine. Thanks for listening. Shukran.
Thank you for telling the story so beautifully, Mechthild. We've got a little list going of the order of storytellers. And before I introduce our next storyteller, who's going to be Simona, I'd like to suggest a running order of what's coming up. If you haven't already told us in the chat that you would like to tell a story, and we're asking for short stories today, 5 minutes or less, because so many of us want to share, please do indicate in the chat if you would like to tell a story. But this is the list I'm suggesting, and tell me if this doesn't work for you. So listen to who comes before you, which isn't always easy. So it's Simona next, and after Simona, we're going to go to Kenya for Geraldine. After Geraldine, we're going to skip over to Nigeria, and Rashidat is going to tell us a story. And then we're going to Anis, who might be in Germany or India. You'll tell us where you are at the moment, Anis. You're a traveler, I know. And then after Anis, Suheda in Turkey. After Suheda, perhaps Sarah Ellis will tell us a story over in Italy, if you're there, or maybe you're in the UK. And then we're going to go to Lightness, and Lightness is in Tanzania. After Lightness, we'll stay in Tanzania and join Tina. Have you got a story to tell us, Tina? I'm sure you have. And then we'll go to Jackie, if Jackie's still going to be with us at that time. Yep, you will. Brilliant. So let me just check in the chat if anybody has just added their name in the last couple of moments. Oh, there's lots of messages coming in.
So David Thompson would like to
David
tell
Thompson.
a story as
So
well.
David Thompson, I'll put you after Jackie Ross, if that's okay. So
Omar as well.
right, Omar as well. Omar after David. And if you, for whatever reason, that order doesn't work for you, then just write in the chat to me or to us or to everybody, and we'll amend it. So, Simona, are you going to tell us a story that you learned from Hala?
I am. Well, actually, Hala, if you're watching this, it's a story that I have to admit, I didn't learn this story from you, but I was inspired to tell it today because you told it. And Hala, you tell this story, your version of this story is with animals. And I wanted to tell you my version, the version that I tell. And I tell this version so much to my students, and they love this story. So I hope that you, Hala, and everybody here, you love this story. And it's one of my favorite stories of peace and kindness. It's a story of the stone soup. Long, long ago, there were some travelers. The travelers were walking, and they were tired and hungry. They didn't have anything to eat with them. But they saw a village in the distance, and they walked towards the village. And when they came to the village, they looked around. Nobody was in sight. Weren't there any people living there in that village? But no, they heard a door closing. They heard some windows shutting. Where were the people? Why were they closing in their houses? So they knocked at some doors, and they heard the feet shuffling inside the house, but nobody opened the doors. And they knocked other doors and another doors. They looked through the windows, but nobody came out. They thought, well, we know what's going on here. In this village, they don't know what kindness is. So maybe it's time that we teach them a lesson. And they went down to the river. They took their big pot. They filled it with water, and then they took some stones from the river and they put the stones inside the pot. And then they started stirring and stirring. Of course, they lit a fire. And then when the water boiled, they said, stone soup, our favorite. But if only we had some carrots to put inside. And suddenly they heard a voice, got some carrots. And an old woman came rushing towards them, holding some carrots. Here you are. When you finish, can you promise me that you'll give me some of your stone soup to try out? I've never had stone soup in all of my life. Of course, said the travelers, and they chopped the carrots and they put the carrots inside the soup and they stirred and stirred and stirred. And then they said, oh, if only we had some potatoes. And, well, they heard a voice, I've got some potatoes. And a man came rushing out of his house holding a bag full of potatoes, and he gave the potatoes to them. And he said, well, I'll give you these potatoes, but you have to promise me, can I have some of the stone soup after you finish cooking it? Because, I've never had stone soup. I'm really, really curious. Of course, they said. So they chopped the potatoes and they put the potatoes inside the pot and they stirred, they stirred, they stirred. And they continued asking for ingredients after ingredient, after ingredient, after ingredient. Onions, peas, meat, all of the delicious things that go inside a soup. And they stirred, they stirred, they stirred. And from nothing, they made a soup. And when the soup was ready, they asked for bowls from each and everyone, and they filled the bowls with soup. And, well, they gave the soup to each and everybody there. And everybody ate, and they were all merry together, eating stone soup. And, well, you might wonder now, what happened to the stones? Did they eat the stones? Well, I'll tell you. They were clever, these travelers. They took the stones away before serving the soup to all of the villagers, so that the villagers could enjoy the soup and enjoy the gift of kindness and peace. Thank you, Hala, for inspiring me to tell this story today. And thank you, everyone, for being here and asking for peace. Telling stories is a great act of peace. Well, I'll move on to our next teller. Geraldine, are you here with us? Would you like to tell us a story? Geraldine, can you hear me? Or maybe we'll go back to Geraldine later.
Good idea.
Maybe, would you like to?
So Rashidat,
yes.
Rashidat in Nigeria, will you tell us a story and we'll come back to Geraldine when she's ready?
Okay, I would love to. Hi, everyone.
Wonderful
It's
to
been
see you.
Thank you. Same here. It's been excellent listening to all these stories. So the title of my story is The Loving Couple. And the story is about a young couple, Ajani and Ajoke, who loved each other to bits and just got married, and who lived in a beautiful village at the edge of the rainforest in the southwestern part of Nigeria. Ajani was a farmer, while Ajoke was a stay-at-home wife, and she was a wonderful wife. She cooked the most delicious meals and took care of the home, and she really, really loved her husband. And her husband loved her back. He went out early in the morning to care for his farm, water the crops, and he came back late in the evening after selling some of the crops in the village square. However, Ajoke had a little flaw. She was a bit of a nag, and she nagged and nagged and nagged about everything. When he came home, she would start to complain. Why are you just coming back? Oh, why did you buy this? It's not good enough. Why did you buy that? It's too expensive. Why did you put that there? You shouldn't have. Why should you do this? Do that. And this started to wear Ajani down. He loved his wife, so he tried never to say anything negative to her. But then he came up with a plan. He decided that he would wait until it was very late before coming back home. Maybe she would be tired out and wouldn't be able to nag. And he started staying out later and later, but she started nagging more and more. And then at a point, she actually started to get worried. So she decided to find a solution to this problem. And she went to the person that everybody in the village goes to when there's a problem. In Nigeria, sometimes called the medicine man, sometimes called the herbalist, but he is the solver of all problems, spiritual and physical. So she went to the medicine man and told him her tale. Oh, wise medicine man, I just got married, but I don't know what's wrong. I seem to have lost my husband's love. He doesn't come home early anymore. And whenever he comes, he goes straight to bed. And I do my best. I don't know what to do. And then the wise old medicine man said to her, I have just the solution for you. Take this bottle. I have created a special concussion for you. Whenever your husband gets home, just take a sip of it, put it in your mouth, and swish it around in your mouth until it's time for him to go to bed, and then you can spit it out. And she wondered, but she trusted the wise old medicine man, so she didn't say anything. She went home and she was eager to try it out. On the first night, when he came back, she did as she was told. She put the medicine in her mouth and was swishing it around, and she served his dinner. And she was so quiet, he was worried. Are you okay? He said. She replied, is everything fine? Okay, he was perplexed, but he ate the food, which was yummy as usual, and he went to bed with a smile, no nagging. The very next morning, before he woke up, breakfast was ready. And he said, good morning, my dear wife. And she just said, Now he was worried. Are you okay? He said. She said, nodding her head. And he went off to the farm, but he thought all day, what could be wrong with my wife? Maybe she's ill. Maybe I've done something wrong. So on his way back, he bought the juiciest of fruits and he made sure he came earlier than usual just to try to make sure that she was better. When he came back, he served her with the fruits and she was very happy. She smiled and grinned from ear to ear, but she didn't say anything. She said, thank you. And he got worried. And the next day, he was even nicer to her. And by the third day, all the medicine had finished. And she was so happy that he seemed to be coming home earlier. He seemed to be more loving. And she ran back to the medicine man and said, it worked. It worked. Can you give me some more? He's so loving now. He's so caring now. He comes back home early. And the wise man smiled and said to her, actually, there was nothing in that potion I gave to you. It was just some loose leaves. What you need to do is to talk less and listen more, and your husband will keep on showering you with love. And that's the end of my story. I wouldn't share a lesson, but I would say that for peace to reign, we need to try to listen more. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Rashidat. Wonderful wisdom as always. Thank you so much. And can you give our greetings to your wonderful children who told so many fantastic stories, along with children in Gaza and India and all around the world at the World Storytelling Cafe? That rich exchange.
I'll do that. Thank you.
Geraldine, are you with us? Can you hear us? Would you like to tell your story now, Geraldine? Geraldine, please send us a message as soon as you're ready. So while we're waiting, we will go to Anis Sultana. Are you in Germany, Anis?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, I'm in Germany. Can you hear me?
We can hear
Right.
you loud and
Yeah.
clear.
Right. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm glad to be taking part in Storytelling for Peace. And yeah, and I had so much fun listening to the others. Well, here goes my story. The dinner table was all set. Bobo's friend, Rabbit, was there, happily taking part in the celebration. Hop, hop, hop. It wasn't a tradition he usually observed in his community. He loved the differences and the similarities. And Bobo, he looked at all the food displayed on the table. You are right, Rabbit. There is heaven and hell. We are sitting on it. No one understood a thing, and everyone stared at Bobo. Bobo grinned. Today I visited hell and heaven. Now everybody was curious. Huh? Bobo laughed. They put a blindfold around my eyes and said, "First, you shall see hell." When the blindfold was removed, I was standing at the entrance to a great big dining hall. The hall was lined with tables, each piled with most delicious foods. Vegetables, fruits, breads, meat, desserts of all kinds. The smells that reached my nose were wonderful. What else should I see? There were people in hell seated around those tables, their faces creased with frustration, anger, and hunger. And their arms were tied to the chairs that they were seated on, in a way that they could reach those platters but couldn't get the food into their mouth. I could hear their desperate cries. I didn't want to watch it anymore. Now to heaven, they said. Oh, the blindfold was on again. And when the blindfold was removed, I was confused. I was again standing at the entrance of a great big hall lined with tables piled with such lavish food and people around the table, and their hands were tied to the chair. Eh? I wondered, what is it again? But then when I took a closer look, I noticed that indeed they were having a feast. Eh? They used their hands to pick up the food and feed it to the person sitting next to them. And all that their neighbor had to do was bow their head as if to say thank you and pass on the kindness. Everybody seemed to be happy. The air was filled with joys of their chatting and laughter. They seemed to be sated with that sumptuous meal. And I thought, oh man, That is one hell of a difference. And I quickly ran to hell to help those poor souls trapped there. I thought I could share the solution with them. And I whispered into the ears of one starving man. I said, "Hey, you don't have to go hungry. Feed your neighbor and you shall be fed." Now, don't ask me how I managed to reach heaven with all that blindfold. You know, chimps are intelligent for a reason. I must finish the story. I'm very hungry. This man, he looked at me, and then he looked at his neighbor, and he looked at me again and said, "You want me to feed this detestable man? I would rather starve than give him the pleasure of eating." I woke up startled and muttered, "You fool, it is the need of the hour. Feed the hunger, not the hate. Let kindness heal and love create. May children grow in peace, not fight. May they see love shining light." My friend Rabbit, he gave me a warm, fluffy hug, and my chimp family agreed to my dreams. And we all said, "Merry Christmas. Let's have a shared meal." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anise.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. That was absolutely wonderful. And we're going to go to Manuela in a moment. But just before we go to Manuela, I'd like to remind people this is a storytelling for peace. We're wishing for peace for everybody in the world where there's so much disharmony in these days. And we're also raising funds for a specific family, Hala and Shatha's family in Gaza. And I would like to acknowledge and thank the people who have already donated before today's event. Over the last couple of days, there's been some donations in response to this event. And I'd also like to thank the 3 people who are involved in this now, who have already donated since this event began. Thank you for donating on the Just Giving page. And the Just Giving page is hosted by Lucy Wood. And Lucy and Mike Wood are the force behind the World Storytelling Cafe. So thank you, Lucy Wood, for hosting Hala's Family Fundraiser. If you haven't already donated and you would like to, this is a free event, there's no obligation, but if you would like to, I'm just going to show you. If you're watching the recording, you can freeze this now. You can see this is the QR code. So if you're watching a recording, you can freeze, you can pause, and you can put your phone up and get the QR code and get the link to the Just Giving page, which is also in the chat. So again, thank you for your generosity. Normally at the World Storytelling Cafe, we don't insist, on donating, but we really encourage you to do so. As Manuela said, dear Hala's family are going through the most unthinkable times right now. We're with you, Hala. Thank you for your message earlier. I appreciate your words, Hala. So now over to Manuela, and after Manuela, we will go to Geraldine.
Thank you, David. Yes, I've been in touch with Hala over these few days, and she was thinking of something to say in this room today, had she been well enough, but things didn't go as planned. So she sent me what she wanted to say, and today at 1:30. So I haven't had time to learn it, so apologies if I'm reading it to you. This is from Hala, age 18, from the north of Gaza. Do you know why sadness seems heavy? because it prepares you to appreciate the lightness of joy when it comes. Just as the clouds, even if they seem dense, do not prevent the wind from carrying them away. So your vortex is just a chapter in an unfinished story. Allow yourself to go through it, not because you are weak, but because you know that life gives its most beautiful gifts to those who are patient in the face of the clouds. In the end, when the last drop of rain falls and the clouds clear from the sky, you will realize that sadness was not an enemy, but a teacher. Sorry. And that the path you walked, no matter how painful it was drawing for you a picture that you would not have seen without the darkness. So don't be sad, because every cloud carries in its heart the promise of the sun. And every drop that falls on your shoulders whispers a simple truth. Life, no matter how harsh it seems, is still beautiful. Hala. Thank you, Hala.
Thank you, Hala, for your words. And Geraldine, are you ready now to share your story?
Yes.
Geraldine, please go ahead. The floor is yours.
I'm
Over in Kenya.
ready now. I'm now ready.
Hi, Geraldine.
Good evening, everyone. It is evening here.
Geraldine, please tell us your story.
Long time ago, was a village deep down.
Sadly, Geraldine has lost connection. The signal in a rural part, I can't remember how far away from Nairobi Geraldine is, but the internet signal is not reliable. Geraldine is back in the room. Geraldine, would you like to try again? And then if we can hear you, tell the story. And if we can't, we will look forward to learning the story from you later. Try one more time, see if we can understand you. Okay, Geraldine, thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all of the people, because I know there are many who would like to be here, but internet is not available or challenging for you. You are with us, whether you're listening on Facebook or on YouTube or later, you are part of this. There are so many of you who would like to be here in many parts of the world. So right now, we're going to go to my friend Suheda Sahin. It wasn't long ago that I met up with Suheda in a wonderful storytelling event in Turkey. Suheda, will you tell us a story?
Hello, David. Hello, everybody. It is so nice to be here and getting connected for a nice event for peace. Today I told David that I was going to tell a story that I listened from you and from a Gazan girl, but now I changed my mind. And I want to tell you a story that I have never told again before, a Turkish story. I hope you like it. Bir varmış, bir de yokmuş. Once there was, once there wasn't. There was a beautiful village in the very rich and colorful and green forest. All the animals, all the people, and all the children lived very happily in that village. But by the time, as many of us saw and faced with this reality, the people forgot the nature, the beauty of the life. And all the people rushed and rushed and worked and worked and rushed and rushed and worked and worked, and every creature forgot the beauty of the life, and the children began to forget the nature, began to live in the forest and in the parks. All the children began just live in the houses and using the machines, and they stopped to imagine the people, the children. They stopped imagine. They forgot the hope of the life. And one day, because of the silence of the life, but the rushness of the working hours, the sky felt bored. The sky looked down to the ground and tried to understand what is happening in this earth. Why are all day running and working and the cars and the traffic and all the things? I want to see what is happening in the world. The sky started to come closer to the ground. The sky started to come to the ground. It was coming to the ground and ground and ground. The wind was not going like this. It was too narrow to live in this world. Hey guys, just think about the giraffe. The giraffe couldn't walk. It was like this. Oh, the sky is here. Oh my God, it was too hard for them to live. The birds were not flying because the sky was here like this. And the branches of the tree was breaking like this. The sky was coming down to see and to understand what is happening in the world. It was so bad. Everybody was crying, oh, the life is so bad. Everybody is crying, the sky is here. I can't see the sun because of the black clouds. I can't walk even in the ground. I can't fly as a bird. I can't run. I can't run as a child. Everybody was thinking so heavily. So one day, a little bird, Anna, picture showed you that bird. It was a robin bird, but we call it as the sparrow with the henna breast in Turkey. Sorry. The sky is coming and they're building. Yes, and the bird. And the bird thought that, yes, I can do something. I can fix this. The bird went on the ground and lifted her feet to the sky and started to push the sky. Oh, yes, I will push it to the place that it must be there. The bird was pushing it. But you know, the robin was too small. look at this one. And it's showing it us. And then the monkey came. Hey, hey, little bird, what are you doing there? I am pushing the sky. Don't laugh at me and help me, please. We will fix this. Oh, with those tiny feet and legs. Oh, you're so funny. Hey, don't be ridiculous, you naughty monkey. If you don't help, please go away. I will do my best. I will do my best. And she again lied on the ground and lifted her legs to the sky. And again, she started to push and push it, push it, push it, push it. Oh, yes, it was too hard for a little sparrow. And then she heard a noise. It was a bird. Oh, little sparrow, what are you doing? I am trying to fix it. Please help, help. If we're awake, please come here. The bear also laughed and laughed and laughed. And the sparrow, the robin said, go away if you want to help me. I will try to do my best. And then the king of the forest, the lion, came next to the sparrow, the robin. And what are you doing? Without my permission, let us support. Hey, you robin, asked the lion. And the sparrow, the robin, answered, hey, look at the sky, little birds and chickens and people. We can't leave, we can't walk even because of the sky. It's coming in. We are smashed like this. Please, king, help me. Okay, I see, said the king, said the lion. The lion decided to help to the sparrow, to the robin. They lied on the grass, Anna. Lied on the grass, yes. Raised her feet and legs and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. The lion also pushed. And then the giraffe came. Yes, it is a big problem for me. Of course, I will help you. The giraffe lied on the ground and it also tried to push. And the people came closer to the animal. They also tried to help. All the people lied on the ground. All the animals lied on the ground. All the kids, all the people, all the creatures lied on the ground on their back and they raised their feet and they tried to push the sky. While they're pushing the sky, they sang a song. Let's build a ladder of our love. Let's build a ladder of our love. Push the sky to the sun, play with clouds, make them rain. The cloud, the sky came back to its place. It started to rain. All the creatures, all the living beings came closer. They jumped, they hopped, they sang, and they hugged each other. And they never forget to imagine, to live the life, and to believe the power of being together. This is the end of our story. Thank you, Anna.
Thank you, Sueda. That was beautifully told. And we enjoyed your singing too. Thank you so much. Power of being together. And that leads me to introduce you to our next storyteller, Sarah Ellis, a friend. We're both located in Italy. Hello, Sarah. Would you like to tell us a story?
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for the invitation to join you. It's a great pleasure to be at this very important event. And my story is about a journey. And it starts with a good and sincere man who was searching for happiness, the way to happiness, and searching for the way to truth. He'd been searching for a long time, but one day he decided to seek out the wise man who he had been told would obviously be able to tell him the answer. Well, the wise man was sitting outside his tent when the seeker went towards the tent. And the wise man welcomed him in, and he gave him a glass of mint tea. And they started to talk. After a while, the seeker asked about happiness and truth. And the wise old man readily revealed the secret. And he said, well, it's a very long way from here, to be sure, he said. But you can't miss it. You will come to a village that I will describe to you. And right in the heart of that village, you will find 3 shops. And in those 3 shops, there, the secret of happiness and the secret of truth will be revealed to you. So he started on his journey, and he went up a hill and down the hill. He climbed some mountains, and he crossed many rivers as well. It was a long way, and he walked many paths. But eventually, he arrived at the village where his heart told him, this is the place. Yes, this is the place you're seeking. And sure enough, there, in the heart of that village, there were 3 shops. So he went to each of the 3 shops. But when he went inside, the seeker was very disappointed, because in the first shop, all he found was some reels of wire. And in the second shop, there was nothing exciting, just a few pieces of wood. And in the third shop, there was some roughly shaped metal. So he was very discouraged and very weary after his long journey. So he left the village and he went to find a resting place for the night. He found a little clearing that wasn't far away from the village. Night fell. That evening, there was a full moon, and it filled the clearing with a gentle glow. The seeker was just about to fall asleep when suddenly he heard a sublime melody, beautiful, beautiful music coming from the direction of the village. He asked, what magical instrument could be making such beautiful music with such wonderful harmony? What could it be? So he stood up and rose to his feet to go in the direction of where he thought the music was coming from. And very soon he saw a man. He was amazed when he saw him. He saw a man playing a zither, playing that wooden instrument. And that's when he realized that the zither had been made from the wire, from the wood, and from the metal that he had despised earlier in those 3 shops. They were the zither. And at that moment, he understood that happiness is the union of everything that has already been given to us. And that's the end of the story.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Wonderful. We've got several more stories to come. And if all of the stories are under 5 minutes, we should be here. We should be rounding off around 6 o'clock or shortly after, which is the aim. So a reminder to keep your stories under 5 minutes, if possible, everybody. Wonderful. And now, Geraldine, we saw you a moment ago. I just wondered if you would like to have one more attempt at telling your story, Geraldine. Have you got a short story for us?
Yes, I have.
Wonderful. Hooray! Welcome.
I had a problem with network, and sometimes back, the Both mute and video were not responding, but now it is okay.
Tell us your story, Geraldine.
Long time ago, there was a village deep down in the forest. And in that village, men were traders. They used to travel long distances. They sold ivory, they sold pots, they sold fruits, and they sold also beads. They went far. They left behind old men, old women, and children. So one time when they came back, they found that their village had been attacked and people had ran away to escape death. Those who survived came back to the village and they continued with their lives. They buried their dead, and the men, when they came back, they found that those people they knew had died. They mourned, but later on continued with their lives. They went, collected their wares, and they went to sell them. On coming back again, they found that the village had been attacked by a neighboring empire. They were very sad. They buried their dead again, and they continued with their work, collected their wares, and they went. On coming back again, they found that the village had again been attacked by wild animals. People were dead, children had died, and those who could not run had died also. And one man called Juma was very annoyed. He said to the other men, "I want to meet this death. I don't want to hear anything again about death. I'll fight death." So that night, he remained behind, and the lion came. People scampered, they ran away. But Juma decided to stay behind. The lion went for him. Juma decided to run and climbed a tree. Lions do not climb trees. So Juma, after he had stayed there for a while, the lion got tired and went away, went after the other people. So Juma came down and met other men. And they asked him, "Did you find death?" He said, "No, I did not find death." Then he was told, "That lion was death. Why couldn't you fight it?" And they all laughed at him. He was very sad. That is the end of the story.
Thank you, Geraldine. Oh wow, that story! I need to listen to the recording and hear that story again, because the lion was death. Fantastic.
Yes.
I love your stories, Geraldine. Let's cross. Thank you for your perseverance. We appreciate it. It was worth waiting for, Geraldine. And now let's cross the border from Kenya to Tanzania But there are no borders here, are there? There are no borders here because we're talking about peace. We're talking about sharing our common humanity. Let's cross over to go to Lightness Isojik in Tanzania. Hi, Lightness.
Hello, everyone. It has been wonderful to see you here today, and thank you everybody for the beautiful stories you have told. I have enjoyed them all. And welcome to Tanzania. And today I'm going to tell you a story from Iraq land. This is not the Middle East Iraq. It is the Iraq in Tanzania, in the northern part of Tanzania. So long time ago, in a village in the northern part of Tanzania, there used to be a girl whose name was Waida, or in Kiswahili, they would call her Amani. This means peace. Waida was the most beautiful girl in her village. But there was one thing. Waida had a problem. She loved talking. She loved spreading rumors. And every evening she would sneak around and she will peep in through people's windows and she will listen. Long even before she listened to the full story, she will run to the next household and spread rumors. She was a rumor monger. She was a liar. She spread words of hatred and she made people fight. One day, in the afternoon, Waida was walking to the market and she found the whole market was fighting. People were punching each other, they were kicking, they were grabbing, they were pushing. And she wondered what is happening. And she said, stop everybody. What is happening here? And what is causing all this chaos? It is bizarre, it is a disaster. It is catastrophe. Because the clouds of dust flew into the air and there was fire. Everybody was mad, angry, and furious. And people stopped. They listened to Waida. They said, you told me this and that. And the other person said, you told me this and that. And the other person said, you told me this and that. So Waida realized that she was spreading rumors that caused the whole village to fight. And she was surprised how powerful her words could break people's hearts. And she said, I'm so sorry. She got convicted. She said, I'm so sorry for causing all these troubles into your life. I'm so sorry for making you fight like this. I never thought my words would be this impactful. I never thought my words will bring problems into this village. And from now on, I will make sure I tell you beautiful stories. Beautiful stories of peace, harmony, and kindness. At that very moment, people sat underneath the tree and listened to Waida's story. From that moment, Waida was very keen at listening. She listened intently. And she was very wise. Before she spoke, she thought deeply. The stories of Waida was spread all across the country. People from the faraway villages traveled to listen to Waida's story. Waida became an intermediator. She became a peacemaker. She became an advisor. She was the wisest woman in her village. And today we have gathered around to listen to Waida's story. Thank you very much and have a lovely Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, David. And thank you for teaching me how to tell stories.
You knew it already.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Lightness, for your story. It was a wonderful story and so well told. So let's move on to our next teller. So Tina, would you like to tell us a story?
Yes. And we are nearby, almost 16 kilometers from where Lightness is. So good evening from Tanzania, Arusha. And I'd love to share with you this story. And before that, I have a question. Did you know a man who is kind benefits himself, but a cruel man hurts himself. And since you know that, I would love to share a story about a beggar. This beggar had no home, had no food, had no friends, had no a place to run during the rain or even other storms. So he went house by house, knocking, begging for some food, for something to cover himself, for a friend to talk with. And he used to say, if you do good, you do it to yourself. And if you do bad, you do it to yourself. He knocked and say the words to each and every house in that village. Some of the people used to give him food, and when he received, was very humble, and going out dancing, children loved him so much and used to follow him. And whenever they see him, they repeat the same phrase. If you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. House after house, years pass. One day, he went to a certain mama in that village. Mama was not happy to see that beggar. And the beggar knocked the door. If you do good, you do to yourself. And if you do bad, you do to yourself. Mama looked at him and she didn't say anything, but she promised something within herself. That woman gave the beggar some food, and she was having 3 beautiful children who also used to follow the beggar. And when they come back home, they used to say to Mama, Mama, if you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. Days went by, and the beggar, as usual, when he passed through the street, children used to follow him and knock door after a door. That faithful day, he went back to that mama, and he said, do you remember what he used to say? I hope so. If you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad to yourself. Mama said, oh, you came back again, you beggar. I hope I will not see you again. I hope I will not see you again in my life. I hate you. I don't want to see you here. And the beggar said, while smiling, Mama, if you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. Mama took the food and said, okay, take this food, take this food. The beggar was so happy. I say, if you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. And he took the food humbly and put it in his bag and went across the street. Children were after him and singing the same song. They went and went and went. In that faithful day, it was a long walk. Children follow him and follow him. And the sun started to set down. And he started telling the children, go back home, go back to your home, go back to your home. Children didn't want to leave that man alone. And remember, the 3 beautiful children of Mama was with him all that day. And they started crying, lamenting that they are feeling hungry and they need of food. And the beggar told them that if you go home, Mama will give you food. This is just the food which your Mama gave it to me. And it is the only food that I have with you today. We have spent a long of this day running and singing together. I don't have any food except this one. The children did not want to listen to the beggar. They asked the beggar to give them that food which came from their home. And they also tell the beggar that if you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. We are hungry. We are so hungry. We need food. We need food. Oh, the beggar decided to sit down and take the same portion of the food and give it to those beautiful children. The children happily smiled and take the food. They know the taste of the food from their house. They enjoy it. They say, oh, Mama, Mama know how to cook. We love it. Thank you. If you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, to yourself. We are very hungry. Now we are happy and we can go back home. The children gathered themselves and go back home. In that fateful day, they slept. In the next morning, Mama waked up. She was so surprised that the children are not waking up the same time they used to wake. She went to their room and checked for their children. It was a sad moment when she realized that their children are no more. She questioned herself, what happened to my children? She cried out, what happened to my beautiful children? What happened to my beautiful children? She cried. Neighbors gathered together and she questioned everybody of what happened to the children. They started questioning him. They started questioning her of what has happened. And an angel, a baby who was with other children, came and said, Mama, Mama, you remember? These children, we were with them yesterday with the beggar. And they ate the food. The beggar gave them the food. Mama cried out, he poisoned my children. He poisoned my children. So she ran to the police station and tell the police officers to go and take the beggar. The beggar was in question. Why has he put poison to the children's food? The beggar cried out and begged the police officer to listen to him. And he said, I only gave them the food which came out of their house. It was Mama who gave me the food. So I have to question Mama. Mama started to remember, if you do good, you do good to yourself. And if you do bad, you do bad to yourself. Those words kept going on her mind, and she couldn't anymore blame the beggar. She shouted and started kicking herself. I say, what have I done? So it is true. If I do bad, I do bad to myself. Look, I've lost my 3 beautiful children because of my bad heart. I wish I could not put poison into that food. Mama said all that has happened because of her bad heart. And she only wished to do good because good will come back to her. And she only wished no one in that village should do bad because bad will come back to the one who does bad. And that is my beautiful story. And since it is a Christmas Eve, I have a special gift for you. Please open it on a Boxing Day. Once you open it, write, share, and tell many stories, many times, and call out for peace. Please receive my pen and my paper. See you on the Boxing Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you. We've had a trilogy, a wonderful 3 stories from my favourite storytellers from Africa. Thank you very much, Geraldine, Lightness, and Tina. Fantastic. David Thompson had to leave, but he's left us a message of peace. I'm going to put it in the chat. He sent me a message saying, the shortest distance between 2 people is a story. Thank you, David. Thank you also for the generous people who've been donating to Hala's fundraiser over the last half an hour or so. There's some new donations coming in. Donating. Share the link with your friends. More people that donate, the better. Dear Hala. Simona, would you like to introduce Jackie? Or is it going to be Manuela?
Yes,
please.
Our next storyteller, Jackie Ross from Scotland, and which I met on one of your courses, David, and never have left since. I love your lovely accent. So over to you, Jackie.
Ah, thank you, Manuela. Well, I want to tell a story that I heard from Hala, because the shortest distance between two people is a story. So I feel very close to Hala just now. And it's a story appropriate, I think, for Christmas, because it's the gingerbread boy. And here we make gingerbread boys. Well, we call them loons. Anyway, I'll tell this story. I hope I do it justice, because Hala tells it with such energy. There was once an old woman and an old man, and they lived in a little old house, but they had no children, and they were lonely and sad. So one day, the little old woman said, "Husband, I am going to make a gingerbread boy. Yes, I will make a gingerbread boy." And so she got all the ingredients together, and she shaped the boy, and she put him in the oven. And when she opened up the door, what a surprise she got, for he jumped out and ran off. "Stop, stop," said the little old woman. "Come back." But the little gingerbread boy said, I'm so fast, nobody can catch me. You'll never catch me." And off he ran. And he went past the cow. "Moo, moo, you look tasty," said the cow. "No, you can't eat me," said the gingerbread boy. "No, you are too slow, and I am so fast, you can't catch me." Well, now the little old woman was running after him, and the cow was running after him, and they went past the dog. And the dog said, "Woof, woof, 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 woof. Oh, you look tasty. I'm going to eat you." "You'll never catch me. No, the old woman can't catch me. The cow can't catch me. You can't catch me. I'm so fast, nobody can catch me." Well, they went past the chicken hut, and the chicken went, "I'm going to eat you, and all my children too will eat you." "Ha!" laughed the little gingerbread boy. "You can't catch me. I'm so fast, nobody can catch me." And he ran off down the hill, and he came to the river. And he thought, "Oh no, I don't want to get wet. What am I going to do?" Well, down by the river, there was a fox. And that cunning fox thought, "I'm going to eat that gingerbread boy." And he went up to the gingerbread boy and he said, "Gingerbread boy, would you like to be my friend?" Well, the gingerbread boy was so happy. He didn't have any friends. And he said, "Oh, yes, please. But first, will you do something for me?" "Of course," said the fox. "Will you take me across the river? Because I don't want to get wet." "Hop on my back," said the fox, "and I will take you across." And so the gingerbread boy jumped on to the fox's back, and this fox swam across the river. And when he got to the other side, he gobbled the gingerbread boy right up. Just then, the old lady, the cow, the dog, and the chicken reached the other side of the river, and they looked across just in time to see the fox lick his lips and say, "Yum, that was tasty." And I'm going to share something with you, because in my language, we say a piece for something that you eat. So peace here in this story has a double meaning. I send you peace, and it was a very tasty piece as well. Hala, thank you so much for sharing all the wonderful stories that you have shared, and I particularly enjoy that one at Christmas. Thank you.
Jackie, thank you so much. And I'm going to tell you, Jackie, that there is more than one Hala who tells stories. And the story, and it's wonderful that you've told Hala Abu Jasser's story. But it's perfect. It's perfect. We've been telling stories that we've been learning from our dear friend Hala Muntasalem, but there are many children in Gaza. And I can tell you that Hala, who told Jackie that story, was only 9 years old when she told the gingerbread boy at the World Storytelling Cafe, and now she's 13. Here she is. Here's Hala, who told that story at the World Storytelling Cafe a few years ago, if you can see her here. And I can tell you, without going into details, that Hala's been going through the toughest of times. So it's absolutely wonderful. And I'll be able to share with Hala and her sister Farah that her story was shared here too. Wonderful, wonderful. Patience is a virtue, and some of you have been so patient. We're getting towards the last few storytellers of our marvelous Storytelling for Peace event. We're going to run slightly beyond 6 p.m. UK time, but that's fine, isn't it? Because we're enjoying the experience. And now we're going to go to, well, the World Storytelling Cafe, as you all know, is based in Marrakesh in Morocco. So it's only right and proper that we have Omar Belarej, sorry about my pronunciation, in Marrakesh, representing Morocco, representing the World Storytelling Cafe. Omar, welcome. Please tell us your story.
Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi. Thank you so much, Mr. David. Thank you, everybody. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to tell you a short story, and I hope you like the story. It's from Moroccan heritage, and it was translated into English. So, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, once upon a long time ago, in this beautiful city of Marrakesh, there lived two brothers, Hassan and Hussein. You know, Hassan is a rich man, one of the richest men in the world, had a lot of wealthy, and he is like the friends of the ministers, of the Sultan, he's one of the richest men in the world. But he is like very selfish man. He never cared about anyone in the world, even his brother Hussein, who used to be a calligraphed man. And Hussein, you know, is very modest, very poor, very humble man. And he used to go to his shop and used to like doing his work. One day, Hussein went to his shop, but he got nothing from that day, even any single penny. And he got no fees to go back home back then, because if you don't have money, you don't have fees to go back home to your family, to your children, to your parents. So he decided to spend the whole night at his shop, and it was dark there. You know, it was dark, and he decided to spend the night there. You know, as I mentioned it before, he is a clay craft man. And to lighten up the shop, he put a piece of fabric and he put some oil and some clay, and he played with it with a magical way, and he created a magical lamp. And he was so happy, so excited. Yes, I made something new. I made magical lamp. I invent something to the world. And he was so happy, so excited. And then he got a lot of ideas in his mind. You know, back then when you have something special, you just give it to the Sultan as a gift. And this is what he did. He went to the Sultan's palace and he was shouted, I am a gift giver. I am a gift giver. I have a gift for the Sultan. I have a gift for the Sultan. He entered to the Sultan's palace. He entered to the Diwan. The Sultan saw him and he said, what you got for me, old poor man? And he said, look, your majesty, I got some beautiful magical lamp. And his majesty, the Sultan saw that magical lamp and he was amazed. A magical lamp? My people made a magical lamp, a beautiful thing in my land. So He gave him like gold and coins to be one of the richest men in the world, to be more and more rich than his brother Hassan. You know, this story titled Life Turned Around, and it was true because life of Hussein, it turned around. Yesterday he was poor and now he was very rich. When his brother Hassan heard about the story, he got lightened up in his chest and he was like very envious of his brother. What? My brother got a lot of wealthy from the Sultan. I need to do something. You know, I can't believe it. He hit his brother. And guess what happened? Guess what he did? He went to the souk and he went to the market and he sell everything, I mean it, everything to his name to build a beautiful big golden crown. It was very, very big one. And he went to the Sultan, and the Sultan knew him, he is a friend of him. And he said to him, I'm giving you this golden crown, Your Majesty. The Sultan said to him, Hassan, you are a friend of mine. Money, you have. Power, you already have. So what am I going to give you right now? And guess what he gave him? He gave him the magical lamp that his brother gave it to the Sultan. And he was like very, very disappointed. And he went to his home, to his wife, very poor, very disappointed. And it was true. Life turns around. Yesterday he was very rich, and now he was very poor because he sold everything to his name. You know, when Hussein, his brother, heard about the story of his brother, he went to him and he said, you know, my brother, I know that maybe you don't like me, maybe you hate me, but let's start a new life together. Let's turn the page and let's live another life together. We are the children of today, and let's start a new life together. And this is what he did. He gave him a half of it for cheer to his brother, Hassan, and they lived a beautiful life back then, and they lived happily ever after till the end of time. And this is the end of their story. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you for showing us the possibility that life can turn around.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to participate with you today.
Thank you. Storytelling for Peace. That's what we're doing today. And now we're going all the way to Canada to my good friend, Tahi Payro. And Tahi is going to tell us the story that she learned from Hala Muntasalem. A favorite story of ours, isn't it, Tahi?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello, everyone.
Perfectly.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, David. Yeah, I'm going to tell you a story that I heard from Hala. Milk is for milk, and water is for water. Once, there was a milk seller who sold milk. Every day, he got up, he had breakfast, and got ready to work. He filled his bucket full of milk and went to the bazaar to sell it. His milk was rich, creamy, and so delicious, and everyone was delighted to buy it. And this went on, and every day he got the same money as the day before. But one day, the milk seller in the bazaar looked at the others that he never noticed them. One of them was wore a beautiful and expensive robe with ornaments, and another a donkey, and another one horse and a cart. And he asked himself, don't I deserve a life like this, with a robe, donkey, horse, and cart? Why shouldn't I have this kind of those things? And he decided to change his life. The very next day, as he was passing by the river, he had his bucket half milk. He went to the river and dipped his bucket into the water and came out full of milk and water. He went to the bazaar and sold it all, and no one noticed that his milk was thinner than before. Maybe they noticed, but because they trusted me, they didn't say nothing. I'm rich. If I do every day, I can buy everything that I want. With empty bucket and his bag full of money, he walked home. And beside the river was a tree, a big shadow on the ground. Oh, it's a good place to start, to sit and count my money. He sat under the tree and he started to count his money. It was double money that he get every day. As he was dreaming that I'm gonna buy donkey, horse, house, he didn't notice that there was a monkey on top of the tree. The monkey came down, ran down and grabbed the bag and ran up to the tree. Give me back my bag. But the monkey was just wanted to play the bag. He put his hands into the bag, took out one coin and threw it into the man and hit the man at the head and landed on the ground. No, don't do that. That's my money. The monkey took another coin and threw it into the river, landed on the water. As the man is struggling and shouting, the monkey did the same thing. One coin took it, hit the man at his head and landed on the ground, and one landed on the water. When he was finished, the monkey wasn't interested anymore. He dropped the bag beside the foot of the milk seller. And the milk seller started to count the money that the monkey dropped. It was the same money that he get from the milk, delicious and the creamy milk that he sold every day. From that moment, he told to himself, milk is for milk and water is for water. He never asked the water in his milk. He never buy a donkey or horse, but he was happy with what he had. Thank you, Hala, for this story. Inspired me to tell this story. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you,
for
Tati.
listening.
That was beautifully told. And I remember coaching Hala with her story. This is a story that's been in her family for a long time. So thank you for sharing
you.
with us.
I'm just sorry, a little bit cold. Sorry about that. I couldn't tell exactly.
But I'm sure if she's not watching now, she'll be watching the recording. Thank you so much. Thanks. And our next storyteller, over to Greece, Despina. Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining us. Despina is a storyteller which I've met and have been talking to for a while on the World Storytelling Cafe here. So thank you, Despina, and it's over to you.
Thank you, Manuela. That was a lovely introduction. Good to see you all, guys. It's very nice to be here with you. I'd like to share a story I heard Hala tell some time ago. And it stuck in my memory because it turned out to be a real story, and I was not expecting that. So once there was a huge drought. All the land had gone dry and it was there anywhere. Everybody was suffering, Crow among them all. But Crow was very clever. Crows are resourceful creatures. They're highly intelligent. They have been, let us say, mistreated in folktales many times. But they should be an example to us all. This particular crow that was really, really thirsty discovered that a jar had been left. And there was little water in the bottom of the jar, which he could not reach with his beak from the mouth of the jar. So try as he might, he tried to pick at the water, but he couldn't. It was too far deep inside. So Crow looked around to see what was there in his environment, what he could use. And he just saw a few pebbles. And Crow's mind started turning, the wheel started turning inside that little incredible brain of his. And he went there, took a pebble, carried it all the way up to the jar, and from above it, he let it drop inside the jar and looked. He peeped from the mouth of the jar and saw that the water had risen inside just a tiny little bit. So he went back and took another pebble and let it drop inside the jar. And the water again went just a tiny little bit higher. And he kept doing that, going back and forth, carrying pebbles, throwing them inside the jar until the water was high enough, until it had reached the middle of the jar, and picking through the mouth of the jar, now he could quench his thirst. So the first time I heard Hala tell this tale, I was amazed. I thought that, you know, people have witnessed how intelligent crows are, and they have created this story to show us how any being, animal or human, can use what's around them in order to find the ways to meet their basic needs. And then I was amazed to see a documentary where there was an actual crow that did exactly that in real life. I was just, you know, my jaw just dropped. It was incredible. And I don't know if people made that story up, expecting it to happen, the crows being the intelligent beings that they are, or whether they had witnessed it and were, you know, amazed their intelligence, and they just kept repeating it until it turned into a folktale. But I know that as that crow was facing thirst, I know that there are people who are facing a hard time trying to meet their basic needs because of war. And I honestly hope from the bottom of my heart that they do find a way, either through friends, as we do now for Hala, or through the kindness of people's hearts. I hope that they find a way to have those needs met. So a big kiss to Hala. May she have heart, and may all turn out for the best.
Despina, I know you won't mind me saying this. You told that so beautifully. Here is Hala. I just kind of try and find my screen so I can see myself. I'm holding it in the right place. And here is her sister Shatha, who's a little bit older than Hala. And it was actually Shatha that told the story of the thirsty crow. It could have been either of them, but I'll tell you it was Shatha. So we're telling that story in the name of both of you and all of your family, Hala. And Shatha, thank you for sharing that story, and thank you for retelling it so beautifully, Despina. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you for what you're doing for the girls.
It's the least I can do.
Thank you, Despina. We'll move on to our next teller, Keith Butters. Keith, would you like to tell us a story?
Yes, well, I have not so much a story, but a piece that I'd just like to share with everybody. Looks like it'll be towards the end. So it's been a wonderful time of promoting peace and helping Hala. So I'm really pleased to be here. Go peaceful in gentleness through the violence of these days. Give freely, show tenderness in all your ways. Through darkness in troubled times, let holiness be your aim. Seek wisdom, let faithfulness burn like a flame. God speed you, God lead you, and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known by love. Be righteous, speak truthfully in a world of greed and lies. Show kindness, see everyone through heaven's eyes. God hold you, enfold you, and keep you wrapped around his heart. May you be known by love.
Thank you, Keith. And that leads us beautifully into the very final story of our event, Storytelling for Peace. And it's a story that I learned. I learned it many years ago. I learned it from a student that I was teaching from Saudi Arabia here in Exeter. And then I realized it was a story that many of my Muslim friends knew. And then Hala told it, and it was remarkable. It was in March of this year, when she was also already suffering the terrible privations of consequence of the onslaught. And Hala, it was the courage of these two sisters, Hala and Shatha, who came and shared 30 minutes of stories at the World Storytelling Cafe, the first live storytelling, as far as I was aware, from people in Gaza since the beginning of the current catastrophe that started around October the 7th. So but I'll tell this story that Hala told. I'll tell it as Hala told it and as she said she learned it from her grandmother. And then when I finish the story, I would like to invite you, if you would like to join in a 1-minute vigil for peace, a 1-minute silent vigil. I've got my candle here. If you have a light, that's fine. This is a time of light and candles. And so at the end of the story, let's just be together. Those of us who are here live, whether you're watching the recording, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you are, let's have a minute together of contemplation and remembering that people are suffering, but we are trying with storytelling to offer a better world, a possibility of overcoming this. So here's the story. Thank you, Hala, for this story. Kanya Makan, for Kadim Zaman, there were once two friends, Hassan and Samir, and they walked across the dry desert, and they'd been walking a long time, and their water skins were already empty. Their throats were dry and the sun was beating down hard, and they weren't sure of their way. And they became irritable with one another. But Samir took it too far. He became angry. And in a fit of fury, he struck his friend, and Hassan fell to the ground, and there he knelt in the sand. And Hassan quickly wrote with his finger, and when he had finished, Samir could read the words. Here my friend hurt me. Well, Hassan got to his feet and the two carried on their journey across the desert, walking side by side. They were so thirsty now, so desperate for water, but finally in the distance they saw something green. Was it an oasis? And the two of them hurried forward. They were running, desperate for that clear, fresh water. And it was Hassan who reached the pool of water first. Clear water. And in his desperation to drink and to enjoy the fresh water, he plunged into the pool, not realizing that it was deep. And there, Hassan was going under the surface of the water. He had never learned to swim. Hassan sank down beneath the surface, was flailing around, desperate to get out. But the more he thrust around with his limbs, the more he sank deeper into the pool. It was sure he was going to drown. But his friend Samir saw this. And risking his own life, he dived into that clear pool and swam down and down and down, holding his breath. He found his friend, and with his remaining strength, with all that he had, he pulled Hassan to the surface, to the edge of the pool with his last energy. And Hassan was alive. And when Hassan had finally recovered, Hassan took out his knife and found a stone standing beside the pool and began to carve words into the hard stone. It took a long time. Finally, the words were complete. Samir said, "These words you write, here my friend saved me. Why, when I hurt you, did you write it in the sand? But here where I saved you, you carved it in stone." And Hassan said, "My friend Samir, when you hurt me, I wrote it with my finger in the sand, so soon the winds of forgiveness would come and the deed would be forgotten. But here, where you saved me, I engraved it in stone. So the words and your deed will always be remembered. Always write your hurts in the sand and carve your blessings in stone." A minute together, a vigil for those who are suffering from war, a vigil for peace. Appreciating your generosity as listeners whether you're listening now live with us or the recording later, appreciating the generosity of your open ears and your open hearts. Appreciation for my co-hosts, the World Storytelling Cafe, for all of the tellers and your wonderful stories from many different parts and heritages, but a unifying message. Peace. Salam. Shalom. Peace. Thank you, Walid, for hosting this evening. And whenever you're ready, Walid, you can end this meeting. Thank you.